Hello, this digital portfolio is presented by Melissa Gluskin. Within my digital portfolio, there are 4 parts. Part 1 includes how I have integrated a technology lesson within the art room. Part 2 shows my technology tool project. Part 3 documents my technology lesson observation. And Part 4 highlights the National Gallery of Art Zone app as a new way to create digital compositions with students. For the first component of my lesson, Integrating New Technology, I created a Powtoon movie to introduce our Thanksgiving theme and review bird's eye perspective, as well as how to use materials with the students. Positives from this technology tool were that students were engaged and attentive as they watched the Powtoon to review bird's eye perspective and learn about how to use line and color in their art. We reviewed concepts such as using thick lines, thin lines, and showed how to add pattern to their art. An improvement to this piece would have been to have students help design the Powtoon so that they could demonstrate their own learning and understanding while also teaching peers. It would also be powerful to have students add their own artwork to the Powtoon to showcase their artwork and create an authentic learning and sharing experience. This project benefited ELLs since WIDA Standard 1 was covered to encompass social and instructional language. It also incorporated the listening domain to interpret the Powtoon. It integrated the speaking domain when students were asked to review bird's eye perspective with a classmate. It also covered the Creating Standard 10 within the Common Core Art curriculum, since students were asked to synthesize and relate knowledge and personal experiences when making their art within this project. Students were also engaged in ISTE standard of Knowledge Constructor within the standard 3D, as students were critically curating a variety of resources using digital tools to construct knowledge, produce creative artifacts, and make meaningful learning experiences for them and others. This Powtoon also encouraged students to formulate knowledge about bird's eye view and integrate it within their artwork. This Powtoon presentation stressed how each student could create a unique and personally meaningful artwork. This artistic experience was connected to the diversity class I previously completed within my ESL coursework, since this class inspired me to facilitate this project so that students could create a unique family table artwork. Within this unit, students were encouraged to think about culturally relevant rituals, traditions, and foods that were shared around their dinner table. Students drew looking down at their table and were encouraged to express themselves through their artwork to create a personally meaningful and relevant piece of art. For the second technology tool component of the project, I implemented a visual museum visit for a 6th grade class. Students had the opportunity to visit the virtual Museum of Modern Art using laptops within the art room. Students were provided with a template for this experience where they were asked to sketch a specific artwork and then write down 3 fun facts about the piece. The significant positive aspect about this experience was the high level of interaction students were engaged in during this exploration. During this interactive experience, students were excited to discover artwork independently and also enjoyed how they were able to navigate through the site while learning fun facts about various artworks. Another positive about this virtual museum visit was that it was an engaging and student-led activity where students could learn about art history in a fun way. One improvement for this experience could be to provide additional exploration time for groups since they were interested in exploring artworks more in depth. This project benefited ELLs within the class, as students were guided through the virtual museum experience via pictures. So it was a very hands-on and visual experience that was comprehensible for students. ELLs also worked in pairs during this experience in order to build upon the strength of others and converse with peers. This activity incorporated the listening, speaking, reading, and writing language domains. So all 4 domains were covered since students were engaged in dialogue with peers during the exploration and then wrote out their ideas, then shared their findings with the class. Each group greatly enjoyed sharing their favorite artwork and fun fact with the group. Students were also engaged in the ISTE Standard 1C as they navigated through the museum to gather information, gain background knowledge, and demonstrate learning by documenting new knowledge and insights. This experience also touched upon the Common Core State Standard of connecting to Standard 11, since it asked students to relate artistic ideas and works with societal, cultural, and historical contexts to deepen understanding. For my technology lesson observation, I observed a kindergarten class within a Forces of Motion science lesson where the student and teacher used interactive video and Ladybug projector technology for this learning experience. The teacher began the unit by having the students participate in a brain break activity before the lesson to stretch out and refocus for their science experiment time. Students moved along with the video and also stretched in different poses. With the kindergarten class, this was a great use of technology for kinesthetic learning. The teacher then showed a YouTube video she had embedded within her presentation to review push and pull forces of motions for students in an easily relatable way. Students viewed the video, which illustrated students pushing and pulling to show forces of motion on the playground. Students were able to kinesthetically move along with the video. The teacher did a great job allowing students an opportunity to move in order to act out the forces of motion they were able to experiment with. This helped ELLs connect vocabulary words with actually acting out the motion themselves. One positive of this lesson, including technology, was that the technology made for kinesthetic learning and made it possible for all students by providing the interactive learning experience. One suggestion for this teacher would be for the teacher to follow along with the movie and before it even started to model appropriate action for students and show kids how to move safely in order to set guidelines for this technology use. Appropriate movements could have been modeled, and students could also have a designated movement space. The teacher then went on to use the Ladybug camera to model how students could be using the ramp and toy cars to demonstrate forces of motion. She also showed students how to record their predictions and findings when doing experiences with the manipulatives. The teacher taught keywords such as prediction, yes, and no by showing these words under the Ladybug presentation camera. This teaching activity allowed students the opportunity for word recognition. The teacher also matched these keywords with images for further reference. These vocabulary words would be needed for student documentation within the experiment, so it was very helpful. A positive of this lesson was that the teacher did a great job using technology to preview the experiment and pre-teach vocabulary. A suggestion would be for the teacher to screenshot student work examples and project them on the board to have students talk about their predictions and also results. A benefit for all students, including ELLs, was that all 4 language domains were addressed within this learning experience. Students were also able to work in groups so that ELLs could interact with peers. Students were able to practice the listening and speaking language domains when working with a group, as well as integrate reading and writing to document ideas during the experiment. This lesson also touched upon WIDER Standard 4, the language of science. This educational experience aligned with ISTE standard of the Empowered Learner, which is 1B, since the students were able to have this technology integrated within the lesson to support their learning. For the fourth aspect of my digital portfolio, I utilized the National Gallery of Art Zone app for students to understand perspective. So looking at the app, I was able to run on the computer. The students are able to create a digital composition. The purpose of this technology tool is for the students to work with a variety of artistic processes such as collage, still life, and portraiture. By projecting this app on my interactive whiteboard, students were able to work with their table mates to create a digital rendition of a portrait, since we are working on that in our art room. This technology tool helped enhance my instruction since we were able to create a still life of our own, and students were also able to see how when they place figures, objects in the foreground appear to be much larger than objects in the background due to placement within the composition. So students were able to work with their group to create that as well. Students also had fun because they were able to converse with their classmates while engaged in this digital activity. It reinforced our learning of how to include the human figure within a specific setting and create details that did show the perspective. Benefits of this application were that this technology tool enabled ELL students to work collaboratively with others and create their composition while developing a deeper understanding of digital art and perspective. ELLs were able to visually understand how objects in the foreground appear larger since they are closer, and objects in the background appear smaller since they're farther. This activity could be improved upon if my class had an access to a set of iPads to create the digital artwork as well. It would help each student create their own art. This experience aligned with ISTE Standard 6C as students were able to juxtapose digital images to create their unique digital composition. Some final takeaways from this experience, and after completing the digital portfolio, I have developed a greater understanding of how I can utilize a variety of technology tools in the art room to benefit my students. I now understand that although introducing new technology can be overwhelming, it is the best thing to do, and just go ahead and try it. As long as my students are adequately prepared for technology use by discussing appropriate use of technology prior to using it, technology tools can help students learn in a new and exciting and authentic way. Embedding technology within my curriculum can also help me continue to be an innovative educator and stay up to date on best practice. Technology also helps students develop digital citizenship and sets them up for success as they experiment with new tools and techniques. I look forward to a career of continuing to utilize technology within my art room. Thank you.